This is my Ring of Honor Cage Collision pay-per-view review. The pay-per-view had its first airing last night. This was taped back on January 31st, 2009 of this year from Chicago, Illinois. And this is going to be one of those pay-per-views that no one's probably going to say it's great. No one's going to say it's really terrible. This is more or less just an average Ring of Honor show, Ring of Honor pay-per-view. Going in, I wasn't really expecting anything great from this. I know some people might have been disappointed from this pay-per-view, but there was at least a few good things from it, and this is one of those that, I wouldn't highly recommend, but if you got, $10, $15 to spare and you just want to check out a Ring of Honor show and you're, a diehard Ring of Honor fan, those are the people that I would, recommend this to. But for the most part, this is one of those shows that if you don't see it and you don't order it, you're not going to really miss too much. The opening matchup was Kenny King, Silas Young, and Alex Payne in a three-way. This was actually a pretty good opener. I would have much rather seen Silas Young and Kenny King in a singles match because I'm not a fan of any of the Ring of Honor students, especially Alex Payne. I do not like that Ring of Honor tries to push him a little too hard, especially when he's on the Chicago shows. I know he's from Chicago, but still, I don't think that many people really care about seeing him actually in a ring and seeing him push. He's a guy that you should use just as, a squash guy, or, a guy that's used on a pre-show, not, on a pay-per-view. Kenny King and Silas Young, when they were in the ring, you saw some good back-and-forth stuff with them. It's a pretty solid opener, but didn't go that long. Unfortunately, one person I think everyone didn't want to see won, and that is Alex Payne. Alex Payne won with a Hurricane Rana into a roll-up onto Silas Young. Pretty solid opener, though. I would give it about 2.5 stars. Then after this, they aired a little video package preview of the next match for Claudio Castagnoli and Kevin Steen, which I thought was a pretty good video package. Then the next matchup was Claudio Castagnoli versus Kevin Steen, and this match should have been very good. It was pretty much a decent match, but with these two you would expect something pretty great out of them, but the ending of the match was kind of the thing that kind of hurt this match in my opinion. I know a lot of people probably say this match started off pretty slow, then it started building up and actually getting good with the last couple minutes of the match. And if this would have been given probably 5-6 more minutes and it would have had a clean finish, this probably could have been a very, very good match with them. But fortunately, they went with kind of a screwy ending here with Larry Sweeney coming out there, pretty much distracting the ref. Then Generico comes out there to try to get Larry Sweeney out of there and get the match back started without Claudio Castagnoli doing some cheap tactic to Kevin Steen pick up the victory. The ref was still turned. Kevin Steen was still kind of staring that way. Generico came out there and Larry Sweeney was out there. He was still distracted. Then Claudio was able to get him in position for the Ricola bomb, hit him with the Ricola bomb. Ref turned around, 1, 2, 3. So that's the way the match ended with Claudio Castagnoli going over. It kind of made sense for Claudio Castagnoli's heel persona that they would have done something like that, but I think it would have been much better if it would have had a little better ending and maybe would have been given a little more time because it was really starting to pick up to being a good match the last couple minutes of the match. But the ending really hurt the match in my opinion. I'll give it about 2 3/4 stars. So I was kind of expecting a little more from them too in that match. Then after this, they went backstage with Kyle Durden with an interview with Alex Payne, and then Nigel McGuinness came in there, interrupted it, and pretty much lariat Alex Payne. So then Nigel McGuinness did a promo. Very great promo from Nigel McGuinness here. Really enjoyed it. This was pretty much why he did this to Alex Payne and lariated him and got him out and took his spot right there in that interview. Was back at the last pay-per-view, Rising Above. Alex Payne tried to come out there and kind of cost the match for Nigel McGuinness, kind of restarting the match when Nigel was doing the cheap tactic, trying to get the count out with him and Danielson in that match, and Alex Payne came out there and helped Danielson get back to the ring, and pretty much that was payback for him. So you saw, pay-per-view continuation there with the storyline there, so that was good to see. Then the next matchup was Jerry Lynn and Necro Butcher teaming up to take on Age of the Fall members Delirious and Brodie Lee. And this was just an average tag match. This wasn't anything great. It was just pretty much just there. That's what you would say about this match. The end of the match saw there was a table placed outside the ring. Necro Butcher placed Brodie Lee on it. He got on the ring apron, did a leg drop through the table. Before that, back in the ring with Jerry Lynn and Delirious. Delirious went for the Shadows over Hell. Jerry Lynn moved out the way. Then Jerry Lynn wins the match, hitting the cradle pile driver on Delirious. And about another, 2.5 star match. It was just, pretty much an average match between these two. Then after the match, Jimmy Jacobs was out there in the corner of Brodie Lee and Delirious. He comes to the ring, blames the loss on Delirious, and berates him. Then Daisy Hayes comes out there. She's got the railroad spike, pulls it out, tries to hit Jimmy Jacobs. Jimmy Jacobs moves out the way, and she accidentally hits Delirious. This was before Delirious turned back into being a face. I think he turned face at one of the shows in March, maybe even, yeah, I think that's the time when he turned face, sometime at one of the March shows, and this was just kind of like leading up to that. You could tell at some point they were going to turn Delirious back into a face, which I liked his heel persona, but it did kind of, it was good at first, then it kind of fell flat, and I'm glad they do got him back as a face right now, because he kind of works better as a face, especially with crowd interaction and stuff like that, instead of being a heel. Even though he kind of could go, that creepy, eerie persona with the Agent of Falk worked out for the beginning, but then kind of fell flat, like I said. Then the next matchup was the tentatively scheduled. It was going to be a tag team match, which was Austin Aries and Jimmy Jacobs teaming up to take on Danielson and Tyler Black. But Bryan Danielson got on the mic, said, I don't trust you, Austin Aries. I definitely do not trust you, Jimmy Jacobs. And I don't know if I can even trust you, Tyler Black. So what if we just change this into a four-corner survival? And before that, even when the tag match was announced, the winner of the match receives a #1 contender shot for the ROH World Heavyweight title. Pretty much kind of a Money in the Bank situation without the actual briefcase, where the person can pretty much earn and get their title shot whenever they so inclined to. And this was pretty good four-corner survival here. I really enjoyed it. You would expect these two to put on a very good match. It was, in my opinion, a good to great match. Definitely was the best match of the night on this pay-per-view by far. You saw all of them work very good. Good back-and-forth action in here. A lot of people with four-corner survival, if you've never seen four-corner survival, and at first this was announced as a tag team match, probably a lot of people were confused since they, during four-corner survival you do tag rules. Unfortunately, I would rather it be, tag rules and plus at the same time tornado rules. I think that would work better for these four-corner survivals, and when they do that, it works out better anyway. Because a lot of people are like, okay, this is a four-corner survival, then you don't really see, it not being a tag match until you finally saw Tyler Black and Danielson do stuff against each other, and Austin Aries and Jimmy Jacobs do stuff against each other. Like I said, pretty good match. One point in this match, pretty much towards the end of the match, you saw Austin Aries, Jimmy Jacobs, and Tyler Black all in the crowd, and Danielson did his dive out to all of them. Then he got on the guardrail, celebrated with the fans, and then you saw pretty much out of nowhere Bison Smith come out there. He laid out and attacked Bryan Danielson, so Bryan Danielson was done in this match. Then the end of the match saw Jimmy Jacobs go for the spear on Austin Aries, hit Austin Aries with the spear. Then out of nowhere, Tyler Black pretty much gets a somewhat of an upset victory on Jimmy Jacobs, rolling him up. Pretty good ending. It was good they kind of let Tyler Black. It was good they had Tyler Black go over in this match. So on this pay-per-view, Tyler Black was able to get a #1 contender shot whenever he's so inclined to. And I would give it about 3.5 stars. Like I said, the best match of the evening. And then the next matchup was, before the next matchup, they had a preview video package with Nigel McGuinness and El Generico. Then after that, they had a Jerry Lynn backstage promo. Pretty much still, Jerry Lynn and Nigel McGuinness were going against each other at that point, and they were slowly building Jerry Lynn to be the next Ring of Honor champion. And you kind of could tell that the way they were building up Jerry Lynn, the way they were doing promos. And I don't have no problem Jerry Lynn now being Ring of Honor champion. Then the next matchup was Nigel McGuinness versus El Generico for the ROH World title. And this was about 16, 17 minutes. Very good match here. I really enjoyed it. Wasn't an excellent match, but it was a good overall world title match. Especially since at first, it looked like this was just going to be a squash match. The way they did this match was Nigel McGuinness pretty much got most of the offense for the first 10 minutes of this match. Then pretty much the last 6-7 minutes, El Generico started getting a little more offense in on Nigel McGuinness and made it seem like Nigel McGuinness could almost, lose the title to El Generico. They did a pretty good job making it at least seem like, an upset. And the crowd really helped because, Nigel McGuinness is so hated by the fans that, pretty much at this point, anyone wanted to see pretty much anyone defeat Nigel McGuinness for the title, and I think that worked out having Generico in there. He's a huge fan favorite, and Nigel McGuinness is a very good heel in Ring of Honor, so this match worked out very good. End of the match was Nigel McGuinness retained the ROH World title like everyone knew it back at this show. This show, like I said, was taped back in January 31st, 2009, and he didn't lose the title until, I think, April 3rd, 2009, and that's going to be a part of the Supercard of Honor 4 DVD. That was taped the night before the next pay-per-view, which the next pay-per-view is probably going to be airing during the month of June, which is the Take No Prisoners pay-per-view. But this was a pretty good ROH style match. I give it 3 1/4 stars. Then the last match was but not before the last match, after the ROH World title match where El Generico tapped out of the London Dungeon. That's the way Nigel retained. Tyler Black came out there and looked like he was going to try to cash in his #1 contender shot to get a ROH World title match. But out of nowhere, you saw Jimmy Jacobs and Austin Aries come out there and attack him. Then Jerry, Lynn, and Necro Butcher came out there to make the save. You saw a little brawl real quick. And Nigel McGuinness pretty much sneaked out through the crowd. So that was the way they did that. Pretty much the way they had the announcer say it. Tyler Black, yet again, gets screwed again. Then the main event was the Steel Cage Warfare match with Davey Richards, Tank Toland, Eddie Edwards, Bobby Dempsey, and Adam Pearce. Yeah, this was Adam Pearce's first match back in Ring of Honor, and so far his only one back since the month of September of 2008. That's this is his first match actually back in Ring of Honor. In this match, it made sense him returning and being a part of this match. Then on the other opposing side was Roderick Strong, Ace Steel, Jay Briscoe, Eric Stevens, and Brent Albright. And this was, like I said, Steel Cage Warfare, pretty much war game style rules. And this match just didn't really seem like anything to me. It was just like a pretty bland and boring main event. I give it 3 stars because there were at least a few things enjoyable in it, but for the most part, it wasn't anything that was, exciting main event. You thought in a war game style match that it would have been a little better. But the one thing is they probably should have had a little more time in there. I think that's probably the one thing that did kind of hurt this was the match went by a little too quick. I think, at the longest it was maybe 21 minutes, maybe 22 at best. And the end of this match, they did one thing where obviously in any War Games match, the way the match went was the started off with Davey Richards and Roger Strong there. They had a good beginning. Then pretty much like any War Games match, the heels get the offense when the first person comes out. Tank Toland was that, so this was one of Tank Toland's first Ring of Honor appearances in a long time. Not that anyone actually cares about seeing him, but this is just a pretty bland main event. The way they ended the match was all the faces were in the ring. Before that, Jay Briscoe did an insane dive off the top of the cage onto the floor onto a couple people, which that was probably the highlight of this match. Then the end of this match, like I said, all the faces were in the ring, and Adam Pearce was pretty much in there by himself, and they just kept on beating him up. Then finally, Brent Albright hits the half Nelson suplex onto Adam Pearce for the win for the team of Roderick Strong, Ace Steel, Jay Briscoe, Eric Stevens, and Brent Albright to win. And then at the end of the match, this is when Bobby Dempsey, storyline-wise, finally mans up and sees what Larry Sweeney's trying to do to him, turns on Larry Sweeney, and the faces pretty much beat up Larry Sweeney to end the pay-per-view, and they stand in the ring. Pretty, subpar main event. I was looking for the main event to be a little better. So overall, like I said, this wasn't a great pay-per-view, wasn't a really necessarily terrible pay-per-view. It's just an average Ring of Honor pay-per-view. Like I said, if you got $10 to $15, you'll at least, want to see the Four Corner Survival match in the ROH World title match. Those matches were pretty good, but it's not one of those that you're going to say, is a great pay-per-view and you'll, get rid of an arm and leg for it. It's not like none of those shows, just an average Ring of Honor pay-per-view. Probably, I would say, one of Ring of Honor's weakest pay-per-views they had so far. But after the last pay-per-view, sometimes Ring of Honor pay-per-views are going to be like this. They've had some like this before, like Undeniable after a very big string of pay-per-views at the beginning when they started doing them. Then they had that, which I never thought Undeniable was really a bad pay-per-view. I actually enjoyed it probably more than a lot of people did. But I would give this pay-per-view right here about a 7 out of 10. Like I said, if you got $10, $15, go out your way to see it. But it's nothing that I would say is a must-see, though. Like I said, if you are a diehard Ring of Honor fan, you might want to check it out. But if you miss it, you're not really missing too much to say. And yeah, that's it for my Ring of Honor Cage Collision pay-per-view review. And yeah, that's it. Peace.